Welcome to another episode of How We Bounce Back, episode number 4. Season 2 is in full swing. It's June now, summer is here, and it's time for the San Miguel beer and Halo Halo to set the vibes for the day. Maybe not those two things combined together. That actually sounds crazy. But you know us, how Pinoys do. Pull out the lechon, and it's time to feast at the backyard barbecue. Tonight's guest is an elementary school teacher coming out of Clark County in Las Vegas, Nevada. She had many office positions, such as working in HR before landing in her passion in teaching. She's a VCU alum and a native of Woodbridge, Virginia. She's the most loved out of the whole family. She's my very close cousin, Bernadette Rulloda.
Hi, guys.
What is going on, Bernie? How's everything been?
Hey, James. Good. How are you?
Doing okay. You know, things bearable now. I know we caught up before the pod interview. How's everything with you in Vegas? You know, everything's I guess reopening. So
definitely
how are you handling that?
It's hot. We're getting into the hot weather here in Vegas, but it's still kind of tolerable. I mean, if you think 99 is tolerable, that's what it is here.
Oh my gosh. Roasting my skin. Cooking it like lechon at the barbecue.
Literally.
That's awesome.
But yeah, overall it's good. Hanging in there at the last few weeks of school, so it's good.
So Bernie, like JB's episode, let's get right into your subject matter expertise in teaching. First off, what's been going on with the school reopening in Clark County specifically? You know, are you back in the classroom? Are the kids all back in the classroom? Still hybrid model? You know, I know with the lower cases, the vaccine rollout has been making everything a lot safer. So what's been going on school-wise for you and the kids?
School-wise for me, actually back in beginning of April 6th, actually right after spring break, we went half in person. So I am teaching personally face-to-face. It was kind of like a survey based. If the parents wanted the kids to go back to in school face-to-face, they just said yes, and they put them on a list. There is only 40 fifth grade students who came to face-to-face, and I got 20 of those. And then another fifth grade teacher got another 20. So for right now, face-to-face, it is very hard teaching with a mask on. That is for sure. Like, we have to wear a mask. All the kids have to wear a mask. They have to be separated 3 feet apart. So it makes the room so much bigger. And so I'm having to yell underneath my mask so the kids can hear me normally. Because there's such a barrier, like they can't hear you. I mean, I probably should have bought a mic, but I didn't. But it's definitely nice to see the kids in person. I mean, I haven't met them until April. And so nice to put how they act and how they connected with me online to actually in person.
So does it feel like being like reborn again? I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, like the society, it's like, this was normal for us to have a packed classroom, no mask on, but just like, you know, just being in the presence of that space, do you feel like I need to reteach my own self how to do this? Or
I definitely felt that way because even with being online, I found it easier because everything was, you know, digital. You can instantly just put things on the board or on the Google Classroom and things like that, versus now I'm kind of having to work around using pencils again, printing out worksheets, like making sure the kids, if they're using the computer, that it's charged. Like having 20 kids in front of your face all needing help is very, very difficult all over again.
Yeah, I feel like they have the resources at home. So it's like, you know, they got to take care of yourself when we were all at the 100% work from home. But now it's just like, oh, I got you know, I gotta retune like, you know, my gears to like be back into actual hands-on. So I'm sure it's quite an adjustment.
And I think the second bit, or actually probably the first biggest adjustment, is we all know that teachers don't get to use the bathroom as much as they used to because you can't leave the kids by themselves. And so when you're online, you can instantly like turn off your camera, run to the bathroom. I can't do that now, and I can't run to the bathroom because I have a room full of 20 kids. So I'm like scrambling Like calling the office, like, can somebody come to my room? Like, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Gotta drink less water now. We were so used to just chugging the Brita filter at home and like, oh, I gotta temper it, you know. So
Yes, exactly.
well, glad to hear again. Everything is returning back to normal into some capacity out there at your elementary school. But how about let's rewind back and take a walk back down memory lane, all the way back. Maybe not all the way back, but before you got into teaching. What made you want to get into teaching? I mentioned that you were in office jobs before in HR.
Mhm.
So, what made you want to get into teaching? And then, as a second part to this question, where do you see this going in the near future?
The first question, what really brought me to teaching is, like you said, I went to VCU. Graduating high school and applying to VCU, I wanted to become a doctor. But once you get a VCU, you realize, hey, this is a very competitive school because we have a medical school right down the street. So it's like, oh, I can easily get over to that medical school down the street. Yeah, I was not feeling it. I wasn't as dedicated as all the other people that I seen, I guess.
Hmm.
So that kind of deterred me away from wanting to pursue that doctorate degree or even getting going into the medical field. Um,
Hmm.
but I also knew I always had a passion for kids. And I was like, well, what
Yeah.
better way to still work with kids and the youth by being a teacher? Like I can help them in their education and in their, the rest of their life versus helping them when they're in a bed sick, not
Hmm.
feeling well. You know what I mean? So it's like that kind of got me into this whole teaching and wanting to pursue being in the classroom.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, that and where do I see this going? I hope that it ends up going bigger and better. I am going into my fourth year after this school year, and that's officially done with the probation period with here in Vegas. Like,
Hmm.
the first 3 years are probationary, and now I'm finally getting, you know, cut loose.
Nice.
So hopefully I can, take more classes. I'm really interested in going into special ed. So
Oh
if I take
wow.
classes going into special ed, that could be very helpful. And that's where I'm hoping that it will go.
Right. Wow. Let me tell you first off, like, teachers are really the most underappreciated professions in this country, in the world, but they are the true champions of professions. To really, like, make sure that, just differentiating from the medical field, that, like everyone gets educated, the world keeps spinning, moving forward, and the world keeps improving. And without I think teachers are just as a necessity as those in the medical field, and I think that'll with everything going on today, that'll definitely be recognized a lot more. And I'm glad that you found that, because the impact you have on some kid, that are those kids, they will, like we talked about this, they'll remember you years from now. They especially remember the elementary school teachers. I don't remember my high school teachers. I remember some middle school teachers, but elementary school teachers, and it was always one. It wasn't one per subject, right? And so it's a special bond that these kids have. You're definitely, um, you know, um, instructing them at a time in their lives where they're really learning their first things, right? And so, again, like it's really we talk about it a lot with our parents. We talk about it a lot with our family, but we really, really admire and love everything that you're doing, because
Oh, thank you.
it is like more important. It's most important as everything else on the medical side. It's essential,
Yeah.
essentially.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you see it. I know definitely, like you said, these parents and these people around are probably really thankful for teachers after trying to be the at home school teacher
Oh yeah.
online.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And like it's like how are the parents, like they're like going to school. I think you talked about this in the Everyday is Sunday episode. It's like their daycare for them, right?
Yeah.
And so now with the what do you call it, learning from home situation, it's like, okay, the parents are there. It's like, are they, like I need the teacher. I need Miss Rulloda to guide
To help
guide
me.
guide my child, because they're not about to open the books for them. Maybe some will, but a lot of them don't know how. And so, definitely a cool thing that you're able to still, execute what you're doing in your role as a teacher, even when we're in a quarantine situation. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Bernie, let's pump the brakes on these immediate, deeper questions and let's lighten the mood. We heard the funny stories in the Everyday is Sunday episode, but what are some of the funniest times you've had with your students?
Some of the funniest time. Okay, so for those of you that didn't listen to the Everyday is Sunday, this is my all-time probably top 2 funny stories. In my school district, especially during quarantine, we got this program where we could see all the students' computer screens just so we can navigate if they're on the right place or keep them on track. There's this one boy, I'm in 5th grade, so you get kind of curious. And all of a sudden I see him going into Google search and then he's looking up Ariana Grande. And I'm like, okay, I like Ariana Grande. So, that's cool. 2 seconds later, it turns into Ariana Grande's butts. And I am like dying. I'm just like staring at his screen. I can screenshot it, so I screenshotted it, but I'm like, that bad. Should I tell somebody about this? So I was like, okay, let me close out his browser so he knows that I'm looking. But let me not just if it goes further, I'm going to tell. But I was dying. Ariana Grande butt.
That kid is wild and ratchet, and he was definitely he was risking it. Do they know they're getting spied on like NSA or?
They know, but then I don't know, they forget in the heat of the moment, I guess.
Oh wow, that is hilarious.
Another funny story. When we're teaching online, I mean, the kids are all over the place in every room of their house, in bed, in the kitchen, all that stuff. I had a student who literally took me to the kitchen on her computer, camera on, and she was frying chicken over the stove, pot, oil, and just dropping chicken. And I'm like, how can I teach when I'm staring at her, making sure that she's good? But I'm also trying to see what this chicken looks like at the end of the day.
She trying to make a Popeye's chicken sandwich while adding her math equation over there.
I was like, oh my gosh. I'd be thinking, are they really only 10, 11 years old at this age? Probably. They seem so grown. Another funny one that I haven't told, I give my kids creative writing prompts every morning, just to kind of ease them up and kind of there's really no right or wrong answer. Just write a paper, a paragraph or something. It's more for sentence structures, capitalization, practicing typing. One of the prompts was finish the story. One day a wizard gave your teacher a magical bean, right? And then, they fill in the blank. Somebody turned it in and I'm reading it as they're writing. This girl turns it in. One day, a wizard gives Miss Rulloda a bean. Next thing you know, she's farting up a storm in the classroom.
Yo, what are you doing?
Yeah, she was like, it stunk so bad. And I am over here dying. I am cracking up. And then the end of her story goes, what Miss Rulloda thought was a magical bean ended up being a farting bean.
Oh.
And I just couldn't help but laugh. I was like, this was honestly probably the best writing this student has ever done for me. So I can't be mad at it.
She be thinking about that Chipotle or something.
That's what I think. I was like, what? And that was
beans and farting like that, right off the bat.
Literally. And it was kind of in a discussion board type writing. And so once she posted it, all the other kids could see it too. And all the comments are ha 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 ha. And then you see a few and they're like, oh, Miss Rulloda stinky at the bottom.
Oh my gosh. That is funny. Yeah. These kids are getting more to be mischiefs over the years.
Yes. They have no filter. They risk it all. I was like, okay.
They're the Kevin from Home Alone. Just a bunch of Kevins. From Home Alone. Crazy
Yes.
out there.
Kevin's and Dennis the Menace.
Dennis the Menace. That's hilarious. Well, I'm glad you got to share some of those stories. I know it's echoing some of them on Everyday Sunday, but I'm telling you, the fried chicken. Like, it's over here. You're like peeking over at the camera right now.
Yeah, I'll like bend the
that,
screen to make it a little bit bigger to look at it. Like,
yeah, show the chicken. Show that look good. You're off for today. You get an A for the rest of the week. But
exactly.
Make sure you ship the chicken over to us. Freeze it, ship it over to. I got my address is over here in the other side of the neighborhood. So
yep,
you gotta get a piece of it. Well, I definitely want to keep us on our toes with these lighthearted questions. So another one I kind of whipped up. I just thought of this question today. If you were the principal and had a big budget and you had the freedom of being as creative as you wanted, what would you create in your school setting? And you can go ahead and put the couches in there, sleeping pods in the classroom. You can I don't know, like whoever is the most behaved gets a Tesla. What if you had the big budget, and you had to be creative with it? What would you do? What would you create in your school setting?
Ooh, this is a good question. Honestly, I feel like I would make like a huge room, kind of like a game room, but not necessarily like with video games.
Oh.
More like couches, nice love sacks, like snacks,
Right.
movies, board games, like things that they can hang out with some of their friends. Not really all the virtual stuff. Like my kids love to do that already, but they don't really talk to each other. And so I would like them to, interact with each other on a personal level, like face to face, and a comfortable level. I say snacks because what else bribes students than food? Like my kids love food. Let's just have like all those hot chips, like a hot chip bar for them. And that's probably what I would do, like a huge room for them to hang out at, kind of like a senior lounge.
Yeah, for sure.
Like a fifth grade lounge for them just to kind of kick back and hang out and have fun.
I can't believe no one has thought of that. Like, why don't we have a lounge for every grade?
or something like, or at least like the oldest kids in the school. Like, I feel like that would make sense.
Yeah, they've already worked hard all those years from K to 5. They deserve some sort of, like lounge type of environment, and it also like you said, it really increases the collaboration with each other. And like mood booster, definitely good for their psyche is. So that I like that. Maybe you can work your way to department head at your elementary school, and you know what to do there now.
Make it happen, right?
Make it happen over there in Clark County.
Check back in a few years, it might just happen.
For sure. Yeah, we'll make note of that when we bring you back for another podcast episode. Studio session LA or something. Yeah. And then you can show us pictures of the 5th grade senior lounge.
Oh yeah.
So off subject, you have 2 loving brothers, the legendary Brian B. Rulloda and the former guest in season 1, the icon Bjorn B.J. Rulloda. Can you share your absolute, this is going to be a hard one, can you share your absolute most favorite moment you've ever had with your siblings?
Ooh, that's hard. I don't know. I think one of the most recent favorite moments that I had was probably when BJ graduated college. One of the aunties gave BJ a timeshare in Florida to go to Disney. Yeah, like they gave it to him for a week, right? And BJ was like, well, sis, you invite some of your friends. Kuya, you can invite some of your best friends. I'll bring some of my best friends. And like, we'll all hang out. Like, pay for your own, you know what I mean? And then we went to Disney for like the whole entire weekend. And I thought that was a really cool experience because all 3 of us were together with our best friends in our own little suite, like having a great time, kind of like foreshadowing of what future vacations are going to be like when we get older and when we have families and stuff like that. Like, it was really fun. I think that was one of my favorite moments now because, I don't know, we got to connect and we're older and I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds perfect. And like, you're in college, we're all of age, right? So I believe, right? He graduated college at that time.
Yeah,
right?
college. Yeah. So we were all of age. We like
Yeah.
went out to bars, got drinks, and like we were all like pretty financially stable. So like when we went out, we were like, hey, do you want this? You want this? Do you want to share this? You know what I mean? No one was stingy with money. We're always like looking out for each other. So I really enjoyed going to Florida with them because that was the first time as adults that we've gone out just by ourselves without our parents. You know what I mean?
Changes the game for sure. Definitely changes the game. Like when we're of age and you're going back to the same vacations we're used to. Like we know about them cruises and the being underage. Anyways, you're able to do that with your best friends, B-Dot's best friends, BJ's best friends. It sounds like the vibes can't even like get any higher than that. You know, probably your mom and dad's like, where's our damn invites? But
exactly.
I know your dad would probably want to like insert his way in there. But again, in terms of siblings and them being your brothers, that just sounds like, like you said, foreshadowing. You know what to do now, in future vacations. So really, really beautiful story. All right, Bernie. Well, before we get into the more deeper questions, I know we said we were going to play a game. I wasn't going to even tell you about the game, but let's play a quick trivia game. Oh. I found 4 questions, and it can be questions from any subject, you being an elementary school teacher. So it could be math, English, science, all the usual courses. So the catch here, we're not doing shots, all right? But because we already do that with a lot of the guests on the show. But if you get the wrong answer, the only penalty you have to do is do a signature dance that either your older brother B-Dot or your younger brother BJ does. So show them moves for the camera. All sounds good, Bernie?
Yeah, now I gotta think of their dance move, but yeah.
All right, question number 1. Cheetahs, the fastest land animals, can run up to what speed? A, 150 miles per hour, B, 100, C, 70, or D, 15?
A, 150.
That is incorrect. The answer is C, 70 miles per hour. So about half that speed. Damn, they moving like a Tesla. They moving like a Ferrari if they go that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 70 is still fast though, but that's more of like the Toyota Corolla fast. So.
Hey, don't go knocking on my Corolla now.
Yeah, that was my first car. That led me to many adventures all over. So hear you on that. All right, Bernie, let's see. Bust a B-Dot or BJ dance move for the audience right quick.
For the audience, let's go with BJ.
Hey! Question number 2. Which planet has a day that lasts almost 8 months on Earth? A, Mercury, B, Venus, C, Mars, or D, Jupiter?
Mars.
That is incorrect. You're close though. It's very close to Earth. It's actually Venus, which is quite interesting. But anyways, glad you got it wrong, so we can see maybe a B-Dot dance move right quick.
What does Kuya do? Let me see. I feel like he might do something like, Woo. Something like this.
Creating the box right there. Oh, that's a high school B-Dot right there. That's a class. That's a cruise B-Dot. That's a club. That's a club cruise B-Dot right there. Oh,
definitely cruise.
Yeah. Question number 3. What letter is not included in any of the 50 state names? A, the letter P, B, the letter Q, C, the letter X, D, the letter Z.
Q.
That is correct. Okay. I feel like I need to do a dance move now for BJ and
what do you know?
I remember BJ with his legendary dance moves he's developed over the years, and 2017, one of them years where he graduated college and he did like this at Auntie Ray's wedding and make the BJ face like that.
I think some alcohol had to do with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. To the last question. Question number 4. What is a haboob? A toy, B a sandstorm, C a castle, or D a hat?
A haboob?
A haboob.
You sure you didn't make this up?
This is me going through Google finding the best trivia question.
I think it's a hat.
That is incorrect. It's actually a sandstorm, which is pretty outrageous if you ask me. That it doesn't even go together. So
honestly, educational me wanted to say sandstorm, but I personally thought it was a hat.
yeah, sometimes the personal side comes into fruition, but that's because you want to do a dance. So let's see another BJ and B-Dot dance one time for them.
Oh, let me think. If I could do the jumping leg, I would do it, but
oh!
but I can't.
I might have to just Photoshop a graphic of BJ.
You might have to
jumping
of BJ doing a jumping. Yeah, but I.
Can you do it with your fingers? Can you do it with your fingers or something?
How do you do that?
Yeah. You gotta bend one finger.
BJ was just something like that.
I'll get the graphic for you right there. All right, Bernie, let's get back into the teaching questions. I'm sure it's a challenge teaching younger elementary school kids. Can you describe a time where these little rascals gave you so much frustration that you felt like you were truly having a difficult time at this profession? How did you, cue the line, bounce back from this?
I honestly think that first time this year, this new school year, doing online teaching. Not only was it new to the kids, but it was new to the teachers as well. We didn't know any structure or instructions for online teaching till probably about like 2 weeks before school started, and we had a whole bunch of things that we needed to do. But that first week of online school was so difficult. Like, kids didn't know how to act on the computer. You had to, set rules and regulation of keeping yourself muted, keeping your camera on, and all that stuff that, like, these kids were just so excited more so to talk to other kids their age and actually see themselves that, like, I wanted to stop them from talking when I'm trying to teach so much that I would get so frustrated, like, to the point that, like, I had to turn off my camera and have to, like, regroup myself and think, like, okay, let me put myself in their situation really quick,
Right.
being a 10-year-old missing out on all of the fourth grade. Not like, this is my fifth grade year, which is supposed to be a huge milestone for me, and I'm not getting to do it in person. That really, really, once I put myself in their perspective, I kind of was like, okay, maybe I should lean back a little bit and give them more time to talk to each other, because I'm going to make myself go crazy before they even notice I'm going crazy. So just putting myself in their perspective kind of allowed me that chance to bounce back. Another thing is, like, having coworkers or friends that are also in the same field as you, that experience the same thing you do, so you can kind of like vent to them and talk to them, is very helpful. Because
Good.
if I talk to, like, my brothers or my boyfriend or anything about anything that's going on, you're gonna be like, oh, like, okay, what are you supposed to do? Versus somebody who actually is in your shoes and know what it's like, they can kind of relate and give you better feedback on how to fix things and bounce back and maneuver around all the situations.
Yeah, for sure. And then, it's all relatable. They get the language you're speaking. They definitely get the internal feeling, because some of the stuff you can't really vent, but they know the experience too, and they know what it's like. So I'm glad that you were able to sort of like feel guided by also, like, I guess, their struggles, for lack of a better phrase, as well. So glad to hear. I mean, it seems like a whole mess, everything with how this all started, but navigating it through, like, look where you're at now, and getting back in the classroom. So, like, it's so corny to say, but the brighter days are actually coming.
Definitely.
Moving on to the flip side, though, I'm sure there were times, maybe, I don't know, like, after, like, all the crazy, learning from home, or maybe way prior to this pandemic, what is the feeling or satisfaction you get from teaching? are there any particular things that give you the reminder of, you tell yourself this, okay, Bernie, this is why I love my job?
Yeah, it happened very early on in my career. I think it was my first year teaching. I had this girl, she had behavior issues, like very, she, you just look at her and she's like always angry, always has like a mean, like RBF on her face all the time.
Oh
And
God.
like, you know what I mean? She just looked tough. Um, like people are like, oh, don't get on her bad side, this and that, this person's known to throw tantrums. But I had her in my class, she came in late, whatever. I like to get to know my kids on a little bit of a personal level, more like, who are they as a person versus of what I just see you in school. And I think that this student really appreciated it because she would write me notes, when she's not feeling good, when, something is wrong, she'll come crying to me. And it was really, seeing her break out of her shell, even if it wasn't verbally to me, she's, branching out by writing notes and feeling comfortable with me as trusting to tell me her feelings. She eventually moved in the middle of the year out of nowhere. And I was like so devastated because we worked so hard to get her where she was at,
Mhm.
that personal connection as well as her doing her work. And then all of a sudden she's gone. Um,
Yeah.
a year, a year later, that next school year, she moves back. She's no longer in fifth grade. She's in middle school, but she has a little brother. And she came back to the school and gave me a letter and, telling me how much she appreciated me, how much she missed me, and how much she loved me as a teacher. And I was like,
That is
that's what I
incredible.
live for. You know what I mean? Like
Gosh.
those little story, like, she's been gone for a whole year and now she comes back and she still remembers me, like the impact that I made on her life just those few short months. That makes it all worth it. Like it really does.
And honestly, we don't connect as I mean, I don't want to speak on you like in terms of being an instructor in front of like
Hmm.
30 people, but I think we all know that one-to-one connection is totally different, and it's the closest you can get to someone. And like even if it's like a stranger or someone in the park or one of your students, you have that one-to-one connection and that bond. It feels like there's like, all right, like I hear your pain and I hear where you want to go, and then maybe she hears also your pain and where you want to go, and you start connecting. This that human connection, of course,
Hmm.
and then you feel like like there's not a lot of times where we have that in life, so we're going to value it and cherish it, especially a student as so young as that is going to look up to you as also not only a teacher but a mentor, a guider, being a light for them, right? And
Hmm.
so one thing that we all, I think, recognize, like going through these stages in life, is when we, pay it forward, but also give back to people that really had put us into that, into a better place in their life. That's where you like, and they came back to you and wrote the letter. That's where you feel like,
Hmm.
when you say like that, this is why I do it, that truly is like, who else would say like, that's the story, this is why, this is what life's about, is
Yep.
really, impacting them for the long term, and knowing that you made at least one person's like long term life vision better, and that's even better that she was a student of yours. So
Yeah.
uh, full circle,
Full
so
circle. Exactly.
I do want to ask, that you made a big transition, right, from the office job to when you were doing HR, and then jumped into teaching, right? And I know there's probably a lot of people that look to probably replicate or follow the same sort of path that you've created for yourself, right? Because you really, making an impact on students is probably better than like something hands on the keyboard and not really make an impact on anyone, right?
Hmm.
I work in marketing, so I can't, so, like for profit for all these companies. Like, all right, anyways. So there's a lot of people that probably want to make that transition too, right? So what steps, if a friend or a stranger were to ask you what steps you took formally and mentally to transition from an office job to teaching, what would you tell that person?
So I first want to emphasize when I graduated college, I didn't have an education degree. So I just had a flat out bachelor's of science. You can sub, you can do all of that, but you can't become an official teacher until you have a teacher license. Um, it wasn't until like one of my senior year classes, somebody came in, to talk to the class and told me about Teach for America, which is technically an alternative route to licensure for being a teacher without getting your master's degree or
Wow.
um, an education degree. So I kind of looked into that because I was like, okay, I want to be a teacher. I did not get accepted for Teach for America, but that didn't stop me because I was like, there's got to be more programs out there. There's not just one. So after a lot of Google searches and researches, I found this program that I had attended here in Vegas. It was like Teachers for Tomorrow, and they had a few different cities like New Orleans, Baltimore, Vegas, like a lot of different places. And I was like, well, Vegas is cool. It's out on the west. I've never been there. I've always dreamed of moving out west. Like, why not go and try it, right? So I applied for them. I believe that was like my first or second year of living back at home, probably like the year of 2015, 16. I applied, I got accepted, but they accepted me maybe about 2 months or like a month before I had to move to Vegas. Um, After learning that, like I really, really wanted to go. Like I told mom and dad, they were excited, but they were kind of hesitant at the same time because they're like, okay, you by yourself moving to Vegas, like we don't know anybody out there. We haven't gone out there to look for places or anything like that. Knowing our parents, they always want to make sure that we're okay wherever we move to. And so they were like, I don't think you should go. As crushed as I was to hear that for this opportunity, I was like, well, if I don't get mom and dad's approval to, support me to do what I want to do, then it probably isn't the right time. Because at the end of the day, like, who else is there to support me? My family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We always say like our parents know best. They knew best at that time. I probably wasn't ready, mentally, physically, financially, to move out over here by myself. So I did decline it. A few months later, for the next school year or the next summer, I got another acceptance from them. They're like, hey, we know that you denied last year, but would you be willing to come back this year? And I was like, hey, like, mom and dad, we've had a year to think about it. I got reoffered it. It's not only a month before. I think it was like way back in January, they told me. And then they're like, well, yeah, I think like now that we have time to think about it, we're comfortable with you going. So parents finally approved. I went into this ARL program, alternative route of licensure, where it was literally 7 weeks of intense school training, like telling you how to do the curriculum, how to do lesson plans, how to do family engagement, how to, teach with bad behavior, what to do, the rights and wrongs of, doing things. It was unpaid. So that was the biggest thing. It was 7 weeks unpaid, 5 days a week that I was literally in class and teaching from like 7 to like 5 o'clock. After those 7 weeks, finally you go to like interviews, they help you with all of the badging and everything. After the 7 weeks, I was hired for a job. I had my license. I had my fingerprints, all of that already done. And I was ready to teach that next, that fall. So that program definitely helped. Like if I didn't hear from that first program when I was in college, then I probably wouldn't have gone down this teacher route, or maybe would have found a different way by probably going back to school. But this is a financially easier way, I would say, because you're not really paying the whole master's tuition I mean, I can go back and get my master's for a better license and, the raises and things like that, but I've already got my foot in the door. So, like,
Hmm.
now that I've got my
Yep.
foot in the door,
Yep.
I can look within the county, like, oh, are they offering, like, for me to take classes to get higher education and all those benefits and extra stuff. So, yeah, like, it was, I don't know, I feel like it was a calling and it kind of just fell right in my lap the way that it did.
Hmm.
Even though with mom and dad saying no the first time, like I really, really, really was like so upset and distraught. I was like telling everybody, "Hey, I'm moving to Vegas in May." Blah blah. Next thing you know, it's like, "Why are you still here?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but you like what it is. You bounce back from anything that comes at you, and you come back 100 times better. So
Right.
here I am.
Yeah. Wow. What a story. My
Yeah.
goodness. Wow. There were two times that I heard in your story where it could have your dream, your goal could have stopped. It was like,
Yep.
not getting to was Teachers of America, I believe,
Yep.
the first time. And then
Yep.
also mom and dad saying like, no, this is not
Yep.
the right. And you could have doubted yourself and say, okay, I'm gonna go back to do
And just
whatever.
doing whatever I do. Yeah.
Right, and like you kept persistent. You kept going. You did not stop, and like even things like that 7 week intensive training of like of course like dealing with like a scenario like analysis like how to deal with parents and students. Speaking
Hmm.
in front of a class of 30 and the curriculum and the courses unpaid. It's like you did it
Unpaid.
unpaid, and that didn't even stop you there. So that's three times. You kept going and going and going. And listen, like that. If you gave advice to someone, is just do not give
Do
up.
not give up.
Do not give. Even if you're right there, telling you this is not right for you. They're telling you to give up. Do not give up. Don't let anyone tell you it's not it. And look where you
Yep.
are today. Wow, that's exactly what dreams are made of right
Yep.
there. Do not get discouraged if someone or something you get declined or if like nothing you're not getting money out of it.
Yep.
Clearly Bernie showed money is not everything. It's like what you want to do, what you love. So
The hard work paid off. Like it was very intense. You know what I mean? Like I was tired. I was in a whole new time zone.
Yeah.
Because I think I came like literally a few days before I started training, but it was all worth it. I mean, I met a lot of great people, had a lot of great mentors there, and the program was very rigorous, but I'd rather go through a very rigorous training than one that is very drawn out.
it clearly prepped you, in the way that you needed to be without having to go back to school and uh, overly invest in something that you
Yep.
actually got for free, right? And so, look, you're already instructing kids at a fifth grade, level,
Yeah.
and like you understand the system too. You understand the system of like, okay, I could go back to school to get a master's, but I already have a good rapport with the faculty, the staff here, this school system, and you know what to do to navigate these waters. You essentially in the process got very street smart about it too, and so wow, that is incredible. I think it really just shows that to anyone that wants to pursue a profession, just keep going.
Even though it's like they're telling you to turn around, keep going. So
For sure.
So you probably answered my next question then, with all the hurdles you went through in this life, you already, detailed them all out pretty much in that journey of becoming a teacher. If there's just one big piece of advice just in your life that, you've gone through many avenues of, what you wanted to do in college, what you ended up doing right after college, and now what you're doing now. If there's one big piece of advice you could share with the audience through your entire journey, what would that be?
I would definitely say follow your dreams. From my story, you can see that I did not stop no matter the obstacles or anything that was thrown at me. But I knew that my end goal was that I wanted somehow, some way to become some sort of teacher. And, after the endless programs that applying to, not getting approved by, the approval by my parents at first, it was heartbreaking, but that heartbreak, got me ready, toughened me up, and fully prepared. Not only was I going into a huge career change, but I, want to point out that I did move all the way from Virginia to
Yep.
Vegas with no family over here. Like,
Yep.
I have nobody here. So it was solely on me. And that's why I feel like having my parents' approval was such a big thing to me. Because, I mean, if I fall, they're, of course, going to help me, pick me back up. But I don't want that, to rely on that all the time.
Yep.
But to know that they trust me or know that I'll be okay is very, very, heartwarming and encourages me, sorry, to keep going and, really followed my dreams. And I do want to say, like, my family and my brothers were a big part of that decision as well. Without having them cheering me on and saying, you can do it, and, checking up on me every day, that when I first moved here, I think I would have already been at home. You know what I mean? So definitely follow your dreams. Don't let it stop you. Be persistent. It will all come together sooner or later.
It's a calling. Yeah,
It
it really
definitely
is a calling.
Because I really I see it a lot, even with teachers at the schools now. Some of them are, they might have had the calling way before, but now it's just kind of, it's drowned it out by everything else. I mean, we all know teachers don't get paid extreme amount of money. Like, we get paid very, for the work that we do, I would say we get paid very poorly,
Very old. Don't even go there, Bernie. Like,
Yeah.
It's a fight out here for LAUSD schools. And
Oh,
of course,
always.
Rosemary School. Yeah, every county in this country. Yeah.
Yeah, like teachers are very underpaid, but it's like that's not what fills my heart with joy. It's like literally seeing these kids every day, or like having discussions with them, just like, finally seeing something click after you taught it and like they can actually do the work now. It like that's very rewarding to me. I feel like it's much better than money, even though money is awesome. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
it's just
I'm the
something you
same.
got to take with the profession.
All right, Bernie, last question before we sign off. What's your favorite thing to do in the wildest city of them all, Las Vegas, Nevada?
Not gamble.
That's not a Rulloda thing. Hold on.
I
now.
know. I can only gamble when the Rullodas are here, because if I got into the habit of gambling on my own, you'd see me on the streets.
Yeah. I agree. Me too. I won't share a story, but I know what Bernie's doing. Yeah.
But as far as my favorite thing to do here, honestly, like I just like just being here. I don't know. Like I go on hikes, I go on walks, I go out to the pool. Like it's not humid here. It is hot, but it's dry heat and it's bearable. So I like being outside. And that's really what the most thing I do. Try to stay away from that strip for sure.
Yeah, tourist trap for sure. Tourist trap, even pre-pandemic tourist trap. But yeah, the sun out there. I think we talked about it in JB's episode a couple weeks ago. It's just like it feels like it's just therapeutic, and especially in that it's kind of like a vacation, I guess, essentially every day, So, and your apartment has a pool too. Like wow,
yeah.
Oh my god, okay. Vacation every day.
Vacation every day, exactly.
All right, Bernie, I'm going to give you a closer right here. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. All of your family and friends are proud of you. Like I said, time and time again, pushing for your success no matter where you go in this life. Your brothers included, mom and dad. Most notably, I'm sure a lot of students look up to Miss Rulloda as their hero in the classroom and will remember the impact you had on them forever. I think most of us remember the elementary school teachers, like I said, many years later. So teachers are the most underrated champions of this world. So always know that the work you do is really what keeps this world in a better place. We miss you, Bernie. I know a lot of people do. Everyone tuning in. But we thank you so much again, and we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Tune in next week for our next guest, Devin Brzezinski, an American Heart Association Real Woman 2021 ambassador, who will share a personal story about her heart health and how we should be always looking after ourselves. If you're on Apple Podcasts, hit us with a 5 stars and leave us a nice review. Please be nice now, not crazy comments, all you keyboard warriors. All right, everyone, stay safe, smiles up, big laughs, positive energy all around. Thank you all for tuning in. She's Bernie. I'm James. See you all next week. Hey!